The discovery. The vast expanse of space stretched out before Captain Lyra Vex as she guided her exploration vessel, the Stellar Seeker, through an uncharted sector of the galaxy. The Araxian captain's antenna twitched with anticipation, her compound eyes scanning the ship's instruments for any sign of the anomaly that had brought them to this remote corner of space. "Captain, we're approaching the coordinates," her first officer, Zax, reported from his station. His exoskeleton clicked softly as he adjusted his position. Lyra nodded, her mandibles flexing in what passed for a smile among her species. "Excellent. Slow to sub-light speed and begin full-spectrum scans." The Stellar Seeker dropped out of faster-than-light travel, the stars around them shifting from streaks of light to pinpricks in the void. The ship's sensors came to life, probing the darkness for anything of interest. For several tense moments, nothing happened. Then, a soft chime rang out from Zax's console. "Captain, we're detecting a large structure on the third planet of the nearby star system," Zax announced, his voice tinged with excitement. Lyra leaned forward in her command chair. On screen, the main view screen flickered to life, showing a desolate, rocky world orbiting a dim red dwarf star. As the image zoomed in, the structure came into view. It was massive, easily several kilometers across, its surface a patchwork of strange geometric patterns. "It's artificial," Lyra breathed, her antenna quivering. "Zax, are there any signs of life?" The first officer shook his head. "Negative, Captain. The structure appears to be dormant. No energy signatures, no movement." Lyra's mind raced with possibilities. This could be the discovery of a lifetime, an alien artifact from an unknown civilization. The Araxian Exploration Guild would be thrilled. "Prepare a landing party," she ordered. "I want to see this up close." Hours later, Lyra stood on the surface of the alien world, her environment suit protecting her from the harsh atmosphere. The structure loomed before her, its true scale even more apparent from the ground. Her team of scientists and security personnel fanned out around her, scanning the area and securing the perimeter. As Lyra approached the structure, she noticed strange symbols etched into its surface. They were unlike anything she had ever seen before, yet something about them tugged at the edges of her memory. "Captain," one of her scientists, Dr. Elix, called out, "I think I found an entrance." Lyra hurried over to where Elix stood before a section of the wall that seemed to shimmer slightly. As she watched, the scientist pressed a series of panels, and with a low rumble, a doorway appeared. "Excellent work, Doctor," Lyra said, her voice filled with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "Let's see what secrets this place holds." The team entered the structure, their lights piercing the darkness that had reigned undisturbed for millennia. The air inside was stale but breathable, suggesting some kind of atmospheric preservation system. As they explored deeper, Lyra couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The corridor seemed to shift and change around them, leading them inexorably towards the heart of the structure. Finally, they emerged into a vast chamber. In the center stood a pillar of light, pulsing with a soft, blue glow. As Lyra approached, she felt a strange resonance in her mind, as if the light was trying to communicate. "Captain," Zax's voice crackled over the comm. "We're detecting a massive energy spike from your location. What's happening down there?" Before Lyra could respond, the pillar of light exploded outward, engulfing the team. Lyra felt information flooding into her mind, images, sensations, and emotions from a species she had never encountered before. And then, as suddenly as it began, it was over. Lyra found herself on her knees, gasping for breath. As she looked up, she saw that the chamber had transformed. Holographic displays flickered to life around them, showing star maps and diagrams of strange technologies. "Captain," Dr. Elix said, his voice filled with awe, "I think I know what this place is. It's a library, a repository of knowledge left behind by an ancient species." Lyra stood, her mind reeling from the implications. "Not just any species, Doctor," she said, the certainty of her words surprising even her. This was built by humans. The name sent a ripple of shock through the team. Humans were a myth, a legend whispered about in the darkest corners of space. A species said to have vanished from the galaxy eons ago, leaving behind only fragments of their incredible technology. As Lyra looked around the chamber, she realized that they had stumbled upon something far greater than a simple alien artifact. This was the key to unlocking the greatest mystery in galactic history. "Zax," she called over the comm. "Send a message to Araxian High Command. Priority Alpha. Tell them we found humanity's lost legacy." As the words left her mouth, Lyra felt a shiver run down her spine. She couldn't shake the feeling that by awakening this place, they had set in motion events that would reshape the galaxy. In the depths of the structure, unnoticed by the exploration team, ancient systems began to hum to life. A signal, dormant for 40,000 years, prepared to broadcast across the stars. Humanity's final message was about to be delivered, and the universe would never be the same. The awakening. The news of Captain Lyra Vex's discovery spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Within days, the once quiet system was buzzing with activity as ships from various species converged to study the human artifact. The Araxian Exploration Guild had established a temporary base on the planet's surface, with Lyra overseeing the research efforts. In her makeshift office, Lyra pored over the latest reports. The influx of data from the structure was overwhelming, hinting at technologies far beyond anything currently known to galactic civilization. But it was the glimpses of human history that fascinated her most, tales of a species that had risen to greatness, only to vanish at the height of their power. A chime at her door interrupted her thoughts. "Enter," she called out. Dr. Elix stepped in, his carapace glinting in the artificial light. "Captain, you need to see this," he said, his voice tinged with excitement and a hint of fear. Lyra followed him to the main research hub, where a team of scientists from various species huddled around a holographic display. The image showed a network of lines spreading across a map of the galaxy, each one pulsing with energy. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" Lyra asked, her antennae twitching with curiosity. Elix gestured to the display. "This is a real-time map of subspace communications. The red lines are normal galactic chatter, but these blue lines," he paused, mandibles clicking nervously, "they just appeared an hour ago, and they're spreading fast." Lyra leaned in, her compound eyes widening as she realized the implications. "Are you saying—" "Yes," Captain Elix confirmed. "We believe the human structure is activating similar installations across the galaxy. It's like it's waking up." As if on cue, alarms began blaring throughout the base. Lyra rushed to the command center, where chaos reigned. Technicians scrambled to make sense of the flood of incoming data, while communication officers struggled to keep up with the barrage of messages from panicked outposts across known space. "Report," Lyra demanded, taking her place at the center of the storm. Zax approached, his usually calm demeanor shaken. "Captain, we're receiving reports of massive energy spikes across dozens of systems. Dormant structures, similar to this one, are coming online. And that's not all," he hesitated, mandibles quivering. "Spit it out, Zax," Lyra urged. "There are reports of ships, Captain. Massive vessels of unknown design, appearing out of nowhere. They match no known configuration in our databases." A hush fell over the command center as the implications sank in. Lyra felt a chill run down her exoskeleton. "Human ships," she whispered. The main view screen flickered to life, showing a massive vessel emerging from a spatial rift near the outer edges of the system. Its design was sleek and predatory, unlike anything Lyra had ever seen. As they watched, more rifts opened, disgorging an armada of similar ships. "Incoming transmission," one of the communications officers announced, her voice trembling. It's being broadcast on all frequencies in every known language." Lyra steeled herself. "Put it through." The view screen changed, showing a figure that sent gasps rippling through the command center. It was bipedal, with smooth skin and a head crowned with fur. Its eyes, set in the front of its face, gazed out at them with an intensity that made Lyra's heart race. A human. After 40,000 years, humanity had returned. "Greetings, sentients of the galaxy," the human spoke, its voice resonating with authority. "I am Admiral Elena Vasquez of the Human Reclamation Fleet. We have returned from our long exile, and we bring a warning of utmost importance." Lyra found her voice. "This is Captain Lyra Vex of the Araxian Exploration Guild. We welcome you, humans of legend. What is this warning you speak of?" Admiral Vasquez's expression grew grim. "Captain Vex, we fled the galaxy 40,000 years ago to escape a threat beyond imagination. We had hoped it would have passed by now, but our long-range scans indicate it's still out there, growing stronger. We've returned to prepare the galaxy for what's coming." "What threat?" Lyra asked, dread building in her gut. What could be so terrible that it would force an entire species into exile? The human's eyes seemed to bore into Lyra's very soul. "We call them the Void Eaters. They consume entire civilizations, entire realities, and they're heading this way." The command center erupted into chaos as panic set in. Lyra fought to maintain order, her mind reeling from the revelation. As she struggled to process this information, a new alert caught her attention. "Captain," Zax called out, "the human structure, it's changing." On a secondary screen, Lyra watched in awe as the artifact began to transform. Sections shifted and reconfigured, revealing hidden chambers and advanced technology. It was as if the entire structure was unfurling like a flower greeting the dawn. Admiral Vasquez nodded sullenly. "The Nexus has fully activated. It will serve as our base of operations as we prepare the galaxy for the coming storm." Lyra's scientific curiosity warred with her growing sense of dread. "Admiral, I have so many questions. About your people, your technology, this threat." "And you'll have answers, Captain Vex," the human assured her. "But first, we need your help. The galaxy must be united if we're to have any hope of survival. Will you stand with us?" As Lyra looked around at her crew, she saw fear in their eyes, but also determination. They had unwittingly stumbled upon the greatest crisis in galactic history, and now they were at the center of it. "We're with you, Admiral," Lyra declared, drawing herself up to her full height. "What do you need us to do?" Admiral Vasquez's expression softened slightly. "For now, help us coordinate with the other species gathering in this system. We'll need to establish a united front quickly. The Void Eaters won't wait for us to be ready." As the transmission ended, Lyra turned to her crew. "You heard the Admiral. Let's get to work. The fate of the galaxy depends on us." Outside, more human ships continued to arrive, their advanced technology a stark reminder of how much had changed in just a few short days. The awakening had begun, and with it, a race against time to save all of known existence from a threat beyond comprehension. Lyra gazed out at the assembling fleet, her antennae quivering with a mixture of fear and excitement. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew that the galaxy would never be the same again. The humans had returned, and with them came the promise of salvation, or total annihilation. First contact. The system that had once been a quiet backwater now teemed with activity. Ships from dozens of species filled the space around the human nexus, their designs a testament to the diversity of galactic civilization. On the planet's surface, a sprawling base had sprung up around the artifact, serving as the nerve center for this unprecedented gathering. Captain Lyra Vex stood at the entrance to the newly constructed conference hall, her exoskeleton polished to a shine. Today marked the official first contact between humanity and the rest of the galaxy, and as the one who had discovered the Nexus, Lyra had been chosen to represent the Araxian people. "Nervous, Captain?" Zax asked, falling into step beside her as they entered the building. Lyra's antennae twitched, excited more like, "We're about to meet beings out of legend, Zax. How often does one get such an opportunity?" The conference hall was a marvel of engineering, constructed in mere days thanks to human technology. Representatives from every major galactic power filled the room, their chatter creating a cacophony of languages and sounds. Lara took her place at the Araxian delegation's table, nodding to her fellow representatives. A hush fell over the assembly as Admiral Elena Vasquez entered, flanked by a diverse group of humans. Lara couldn't help but marvel at their variety, different skin tones, heights, and builds, yet all unmistakably of the same species. Admiral Vasquez took her place at the center of the stage, her presence commanding attention. Esteemed representatives of the galaxy, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the hall. On behalf of humanity, I welcome you. Our return comes at a time of great peril, but also of great opportunity. As the Admiral spoke, holographic displays came to life around the room, showing images of Earth and human history. Lara watched in fascination as the story of humanity unfolded, their rise to power, their triumphs and struggles, and finally, their exodus in the face of an unimaginable threat. 40,000 years ago, we faced a choice, Vasquez continued. Stay and fight a losing battle against the Void Eaters, or flee and hope to find a way to defeat them. We chose exile, but we never stopped preparing for this day. Questions erupted from the gathered delegates. What were these Void Eaters? Why hadn't they been detected by other species? How could humanity hope to stop them after failing before? Admiral Vasquez raised a hand, calling for silence. I understand your concerns. The Void Eaters are unlike anything you've encountered. They exist partially outside our reality, making them nearly impossible to detect until it's too late. But we've spent millennia studying them, developing technologies to combat them. With your help, we have a chance. Lyra stood, drawing the Admiral's attention. You speak of cooperation, Admiral, yet humanity's return has already caused significant disruption. Many fear you seek to re-establish your former empire. How can we trust that you're here as allies, not conquerors? A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Vasquez's expression remained calm, but Lara noticed a flicker of, was it sadness in her eyes? Your caution is understandable, Captain Vex, Vasquez replied. We've seen the scars our absence left on the galaxy, but conquering you would serve no purpose. Against the Void Eaters, we stand together or fall alone. She gestured, and new holograms appeared, showing terrifying glimpses of the enemy they faced. Vast, shadowy forms that seemed to devour light itself, leaving nothing but emptiness in their wake. Lara felt her hearts clench at the sight. This is what we face, Vasquez said sullenly. An enemy that doesn't seek to conquer, but to consume. Every world, every star, every atom of existence, all of it fuel for that endless hunger. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. This was no ordinary threat, no mere war for territory or resources. This was a fight for survival itself. Vasquez continued, her voice filled with determination. We've brought technologies beyond anything currently known in the galaxy. Weapons, defenses, faster than light travel that can cross the universe in days. We offer these freely, along with our knowledge and experience. But more than that, we need your unique perspectives, your own technologies and strategies. Only together can we hope to survive. As if to emphasize her point, a group of human scientists stepped forward, presenting data on their discoveries and inventions. Lara watched as her fellow delegates leaned in, their initial skepticism giving way to curiosity and even excitement. But not everyone was convinced. A Zoraxian delegate, his crystalline form shimmering with agitation, spoke up. Pretty words and shiny toys, Admiral. But how do we know this isn't all an elaborate ruse? For all we know, you could be the real threat. Murmurs of agreement and disagreement rippled through the crowd. Lara tensed, sensing the delicate balance of the meeting tipping towards chaos. Admiral Vasquez closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them with a look of resolve. You're right to be cautious, she said, her voice soft but carrying clearly. We're asking for a tremendous leap of faith, so let me offer you proof. She nodded to one of her aides, who activated a new hologram. It showed a distant star system, unremarkable at first glance. Then, to Lyra's horror, a shadow seemed to fall across it. Stars winked out one by one, replaced by an all-consuming void. "This is happening now," Vasquez said, her voice heavy. "A system on the edge of the galaxy already being consumed. We detected it with our long-range sensors, but by the time we arrived, it was too late to save them." The room erupted into pandemonium. Delegates shouted questions, demands for action, expressions of fear and disbelief. Through it all, Lyra's gaze remained locked on the hologram, watching as an entire system was erased from existence. Admiral Vasquez's voice cut through the chaos. "This is the reality we face. We can argue amongst ourselves, doubt each other's motives, waste precious time on suspicion and fear. Or we can stand together, pool our knowledge and resources, and fight for our very existence." Silence fell once more as her words sank in. Lyra looked around the room, seeing the same realization dawning on face after face. Whatever their differences, whatever history lay between them, none of it mattered in the face of this threat. Slowly, Lyra stood. All eyes turned to her as she spoke. "The Araxian people stand with humanity," she declared. "We face extinction if we do not unite. I, for one, choose to fight." One by one, other delegates stood, echoing Lyra's sentiment. The Zoraxian who had spoken earlier hesitated, then joined them. "We will watch you closely, humans," he said, "but we will fight alongside you." Admiral Vasquez nodded, a small smile of relief crossing her face. "Then let this be the start of our alliance. We have much work to do, and precious little time. The fate of all existence rests in our hands." As the meeting adjourned and delegates began to mingle, sharing information and forming working groups, Lyra approached Admiral Vasquez. "That was well handled, Admiral," she said, "but I suspect the real challenges are yet to come." Vasquez nodded, her expression grim. "You're right, Captain Vex. Uniting the galaxy was the easy part. Now we have to prepare it for a war unlike any it's ever seen. And we have to do it before the Void Eaters realize we're here." As if in response to her words, alarms began to blare throughout the complex. Vasquez's communicator crackled to life, relaying an urgent message. Her face paled as she listened. "What is it?" Lyra asked, dread building in her gut. Vasquez met her gaze, fear and determination warring in her eyes. "They've detected us. The Void Eaters are coming." The newly formed alliance was about to face its first, and perhaps final, test. The warning. The alarms continued to blare as Admiral Vasquez and Captain Lyra Vex raced to the command center. The once orderly room had erupted into controlled chaos, with humans and aliens alike working feverishly at their stations. "Status report," Vasquez barked as she entered. A human officer, his face pale with tension, turned to address her. "Admiral, our long-range sensors have detected a massive disturbance at the edge of the galaxy. It's like nothing we've ever seen before." The main view screen flickered to life, showing a real-time image of the galactic rim. Lyra's antennae quivered in horror as she saw what looked like a vast, undulating darkness spreading across the stars, extinguishing them one by one. "By the cosmic egg," she whispered. "How fast are they moving?" Admiral Vasquez's jaw clenched. "Too fast. At their current rate, they'll reach populated systems within days." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. They had hoped for more time to prepare, to unite the galaxy and build their defenses. Now, it seemed, time had run out. Vasquez turned to address the assembled representatives. "This is the moment we've been preparing for. We need to evacuate the systems in the Void Eater's path and mobilize our combined fleets." As the command center erupted into action, Lyra felt a strange sensation at the back of her mind. It was like a whisper, barely audible yet impossible to ignore. She glanced around, noticing that others seemed to be experiencing the same thing. "Admiral," she said, her voice tense. "Are you hearing something?" Vasquez nodded grimly. "It's them. The Void Eaters. They're trying to communicate." The whisper grew louder, resolving into words that seemed to bypass their ears and speak directly to their minds. "Hunger. Consume. Devour." The alien representatives recoiled in horror, many clutching their heads in pain. But the humans stood firm, their faces set in grim determination. "What you're experiencing," Vasquez explained, her voice steady despite the strain evident on her face, "is the psychic emanations of the Void Eaters. It's how they break the will of their victims before consuming them." Lyra fought against the wave of despair threatening to overwhelm her. How do we fight something like this?" Vasquez's eyes blazed with determination. "With everything we've got. Humanity has spent 40,000 years preparing for this moment. Now, we unleash our full potential." She turned to her communications officer. "Activate the beacon network. It's time to deliver our warning to the entire galaxy." The officer nodded, his fingers flying over the controls. Suddenly, every communication device in the room and across the galaxy came to life. Admiral Vasquez's face appeared on screens everywhere, her voice carrying a message that would change the course of history. "People of the galaxy, this is Admiral Elena Vasquez of the human race. The threat we warned you about has arrived. The Void Eaters are at our doorstep, and we must act now if we are to survive." As she spoke, images of the advancing darkness were broadcast alongside her words, driving home the reality of the situation. "To those in the path of the Void Eaters, evacuate immediately. Head for the designated safe zones we've established. To our allies, the time for preparation is over. We must stand and fight." Vasquez's voice grew stronger, infused with the indomitable spirit that had carried humanity through its long exile. "For 40,000 years, we've carried a burden of knowledge, the understanding of what awaits us all if we fail. We chose exile to protect you, to give us time to find a way to defeat this threat. Now, we return not as conquerors, but as guardians." She paused, her gaze seeming to pierce through the screen and connect with every being watching. "The Void Eaters seek to consume all of existence. They cannot be reasoned with, cannot be appeased, but they can be fought. Humanity has developed weapons and defenses capable of harming them, of pushing them back. With your help, with the combined strength and ingenuity of all our species, we have a chance." The command center fell silent, all eyes fixed on Vasquez as she delivered the final part of her message. "This is humanity's warning to the universe. Run if you must, but know that there is nowhere in this reality the Void Eaters cannot reach. Fight if you can, for in unity lies our only hope of survival. The choice is yours, but know this, humanity stands ready to defend all life, all existence, against the darkness that comes." As the transmission ended, Laura felt a surge of something she hadn't expected, hope. She turned to Vasquez, seeing the same emotion reflected in the human's eyes. "That was inspiring, Admiral," Lyra said. "But will it be enough?" Vasquez's expression was grim but determined. "It has to be. We've set events in motion that can't be stopped. Now, we prepare for war." As if in response to her words, the Nexus began to transform once more. Hidden chambers opened, revealing vast arsenals of advanced weaponry. Shipyards, concealed beneath the planet's surface, activated, beginning the construction of a fleet unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "Captain Vex," Vasquez said, turning to Lyra, "your discovery of this Nexus may have saved us all. Now, I need your help to coordinate our allies. Can I count on you?" Lyra straightened, her exoskeleton gleaming in the harsh light of the command center. "Always, Admiral. The Araxians stand with humanity." As they turned back to the view screen, watching the reports flood in from across the galaxy, Lyra couldn't shake a feeling of awe. In just a few short days, the universe as she knew it had been turned upside down. Ancient legends had come to life, unimaginable threats had become all too real, and now Now they stood on the brink of a war for the very existence of reality itself. And somehow, improbably, Lyra found herself at the center of it all. The Void Eaters were coming, but humanity had returned, and with them came a spark of hope, a chance, however slim, to push back the darkness and preserve the light of existence for all. As alarms blared and the assembled species of the galaxy prepared for battle, Lyra knew that whatever happened next would be written in the annals of history for eons to come. The final stand against the Void Eaters had begun. The threat emerges. The days following Admiral Vasquez's galaxy-wide warning were a blur of frantic activity. Across countless worlds, civilizations mobilized for war on a scale never before seen. The human nexus had become the heart of this unprecedented alliance, a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. Captain Lyra Vex found herself at the center of it all, coordinating between human forces and the myriad alien species that had answered the call to arms. Her ability to bridge the gap between humanity and the rest of the galaxy had proven invaluable. As she strode through the bustling war room, Lyra couldn't help but marvel at the sight before her. Holograms filled the air, showing real-time updates from across the galaxy. Evacuation efforts were underway in systems closest to the Void Eaters' advance, while newly formed battle fleets took up defensive positions. Admiral Vasquez approached, her face etched with fatigue, but her eyes burning with determination. "Captain Vex, we've received reports from our forward scouts. It's worse than we feared." Lyra's antennae drooped. "Show me." The central hologram shifted, displaying a star system on the outer rim. As they watched, a wave of absolute darkness swept through, extinguishing stars and planets alike. But it wasn't just the physical destruction that chilled Lyra to her core. The very fabric of space-time seemed to warp and twist in the Void Eater's wake. "By the cosmic egg," Lyra whispered, "how can we fight something like that?" Vasquez's jaw clenched. "With everything we've got. Our scientists have been working around the clock, integrating human technology with innovations from across the galaxy. We're about to field test our first line of defense." She gestured, and the hologram shifted again, showing a massive space station unlike anything Lyra had ever seen. It bristled with weaponry, but at its core was a pulsing energy source that seemed to bend light around it. "This is the luminous Aegis," Vasquez explained. "It generates a field that strengthens the fabric of reality itself, making it harder for the Void Eaters to consume. We're deploying a network of these across the predicted path of their advance." Lyra nodded, hope warring with fear in her hearts. "And our offensive capabilities?" "We're arming our ships with weapons that can harm the Void Eaters," Vasquez said. "Quantum disruptors, reality anchors, and something our scientists are calling existence affirmation beams. They're theoretical, but they're the best shot we have." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the complex. A young human officer rushed up, his face pale. "Admiral, Captain, we've got incoming. The Void Eaters have broken through our outer sensor net. They'll be here within hours." Vasquez's eyes widened. "That's impossible. They shouldn't be able to move that fast." Lyra felt a chill run down her exoskeleton. "Unless they knew we were here. They're coming for us specifically." The Admiral nodded grimly. "You're right. They must have sensed our preparations. This isn't just an attack. It's a targeted strike at the heart of our resistance." She turned to address the war room. "This is it, people. The moment we've been preparing for. Launch the fleet, activate all defenses. We make our stand here." As the room erupted into action, Lyra felt that familiar whisper at the back of her mind. The voice of the Void Eaters, growing stronger with each passing moment. "Found you. Consume. Devour." Vasquez gripped Lyra's arm, her touch anchoring the Araxian against the tide of psychic assault. "Stay with me, Captain. We need you." Lyra nodded, forcing herself to focus. "What's our strategy?" "We've got to buy time for the rest of the galaxy to prepare," Vasquez said. "If we can hold them here, even for a little while, it gives everyone else a fighting chance." They made their way to the command ship, a sleek vessel that represented the pinnacle of human engineering. As they took their positions on the bridge, Lara saw the combined fleet of the Galactic Alliance spread out before them. Ships of every size and design, from 100 different species, all united against a common foe. "All ships, this is Admiral Vasquez," she broadcast across the fleet. "The enemy approaches. Remember your training, remember what we're fighting for. Every moment we hold them back is a victory. For our homes, for our families, for the very existence of all we hold dear, we fight." A chorus of affirmations echoed back, 1,000 voices united in defiance of the darkness. And then they came. The void between stars seemed to split open, disgorging horrors beyond imagination. Vast, shadowy forms that defied description, radiating in hunger that threatened to devour reality itself. The Void Eaters had arrived. "All ships, open fire," Vasquez commanded. The fleet unleashed a barrage of energy weapons, each shot infused with the combined scientific genius of 100 worlds. Beams of pure light, quantum-entangled missiles, and stranger weapons still lanced out towards the encroaching darkness. For a moment, it seemed to work. The front line of Void Eaters recoiled, their ethereal forms disrupted by the assault. A cheer went up across the fleet. But the victory was short-lived. More Void Eaters pulled through the rift, their numbers seemingly endless. They struck back, tendrils of absolute nothingness lashing out at the Allied ships. Lara watched in horror as entire squadrons winked out of existence, consumed by the hungry void. The luminous Aegis stations fought valiantly, their reality-affirming fields pushing back against the encroaching darkness. But for every Void Eater they repelled, 2 more took its place. "We can't hold them," someone shouted. "There's too many." Vasquez's voice cut through the chaos. "Stand firm. We knew this wouldn't be easy. Every second we hold is a second the rest of the galaxy has to prepare." Lyra manned her station, coordinating the movements of the Allied ships. She watched as acts of incredible bravery unfolded before her, captains sacrificing their ships to buy time for others to escape, gunners continuing to fire even as their vessels were torn apart around them. But it wasn't enough. The Void Eaters pressed on, their hunger insatiable. The fleet was being pushed back, forced to retreat deeper into the system. As all seemed lost, a new voice cut through the din of battle. "This is Grand Arbiter Zexala of the Cosmic Conclave. We stand with humanity against the darkness. Reinforcements have arrived." A new fleet walked into the system, thousands of ships from the furthest reaches of the galaxy. Species that had been bitter enemies mere days ago now fought side by side, united against extinction. With renewed hope, the Alliance pushed back. The Void Eaters' advance slowed, then halted. For the first time since the battle began, Lara allowed herself to believe they might survive. But as she turned to share a triumphant look with Admiral Vasquez, she saw something that made her blood run cold. A tendril of darkness had snaked its way onto the bridge, unnoticed in the chaos of battle, and it was reaching for the Admiral. "Elena," Lyra cried out, using the human's first name for the first time. "Look out." She moved without thinking, pushing the Admiral aside. The tendril wrapped around Lyra instead, and she felt an impossible cold seep into her very being. As consciousness faded, Lyra heard Vasquez's voice, distant but determined. "All ships, fall back. We've bought the time we needed. Retreat to secondary positions." The last thing Lyra saw before the darkness took her was the Allied fleet jumping to safety. She had done her part. The galaxy would fight on.